Good evening. This is Making the Case. I'm Yodit Tewolde. We're following several legal stories making headlines tonight, including jury selection in the trial of the police officer accused of killing Daunte Wright in Minnesota, and a push to get Bill Cosby's sex assault conviction that was overturned earlier this year reinstated. But we begin with a case that's been controversial for years, given all of its twists and turns. The trial of former Empire actor Jussie Smollett finally began Monday in Cook County, Illinois, with opening statements all starting back in 2019, when Smollett claimed he was the victim of a hate crime, that two masked strangers threw a noose around his neck and doused him with chemicals, all while yelling racist and homophobic slurs and expressing support for then President Donald Trump. Sympathy and support then poured in for Smollett, but eventually so did skepticism. Police later accused Smollett of staging the attack as a publicity stunt and paying the alleged attackers $3,500 to carry it out. Smollett faces 6 felony counts of disorderly conduct. I've got my legal experts here to discuss. From San Francisco, veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor Paul Henderson, and in Fort Lauderdale, criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson. All right, guys, let's get started, all right? Prosecutors say Jussie faked a hate crime to get attention. His actions were criminal, and it denigrated real victims of actual hate crimes. The defense says their client, who is black and openly gay, is a real victim of not just a hate crime, but overzealous police and prosecutors who rushed to judgment and ruined his career and reputation. Paul, what say you?
Okay, so there's a lot of issues to unpack. I want to start with the legal issues because I think they're really interesting in this case. First of which, these are felony counts, and there's 6 different counts. And the fact that there are felons are charged as felonies actually matters, because that means what he's facing is up to a 3-year spread for each of these counts. That's a lot of time. Not misdemeanors, which is up to a year. Felonies, which means it's over a year, and you actually could do prison time. What I think is really interesting about this case are the legal machinations that got us to this re-review of charges that had been dropped in the first place by a sitting judge that re-reviewed the drop charges from the prosecution. And the reason that I think that that's so relevant and interesting is because of coming off of the heels of Ahmaud Arbery. And we saw that case go through 2 separate prosecutorial agencies before it got to a 3rd prosecutor to charge the case. I love that now we're having open discussions about challenging prosecution decisions when people feel like that wasn't right. And I want to make sure that people of color are empowered with those types of challenges to know where to go and where to bring those cases. And this is before we even start talking about Smollett, what he did, what he's liable for, and what he's about to face, which, as I mentioned, was actual jail time for prison time or custody time for these charges. It's a very interesting case. I'm really interested in seeing the motions, hearing the arguments, and watching to see what happens to him, specifically because this speaks to one of the tools that we have in our reform tool chest about police officers and misconduct on the streets with bias by proxy, for people calling the police on black people and they've lied or they've overstated or misstated information or allegations against people. And that's the same type of accusation that we have here at the heart of this case. So all of this is really interesting to me, and we've got a lot to talk about in the weeks ahead.
Sue Ann, your thoughts. Are prosecutors and police using Jussie as an example?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a prime example of overzealous policing. I mean, we have to remember Chicago has a serious crime problem. Chicago police statistically are the worst at solving murders in their jurisdiction, but they feel that they've gotten to the bottom of an actor accused of acting. Well, good for them. You know, I just think the fact that they're spending so much money prosecuting Jussie Smollett, the city actually took the time to prosecute him civilly as well. They're just doing way too much. And this is, to me, something that spurned out of the court of public opinion. This is the bad side of what the court of public opinion can cause, because there was such an outcry for him initially in terms of people giving him sympathy. And then when the allegations came out that perhaps what he did wasn't real or wasn't legitimate, then everyone kind of turned on him and said, you know, something has to be done about his lies. And he already made a deal to have his charge dismissed. So I just think I'm looking forward to seeing what the evidence is, because so far the only evidence I've actually heard about are these brothers testifying that they were paid to do this. And then, of course, Jussie Smollett saying, well, I didn't pay them to do to fake anything. I paid them to help train me for a movie. So it'll be very interesting. I think it comes down to a he said, she said. And again, the Chicago PD has so much to do. The prosecutor's office has so much to work on. So for them to be focusing so intently on this, if I lived in Chicago, I would be upset.
Well, yeah, they definitely have a lot more to look into. However, some would argue that when the claim of this hate crime occurred, or when it was made, 26 officers were put on the case, and they tallied over 3,000 man hours, time and money that could have been spent using it on actual crimes. So I don't know if there was some civil, I don't know if Jussie Smollett actually paid the city back. I'm not sure if that was actually, this is a moot point, but going back to the idea that, Chicago PD has a lot to do. Well, yeah, he kind of used a lot of their resources. Paul, Kimberly Fox, the state attorney in Cook County, initially dropped the charges, and then that garnered much scrutiny, which led to a special prosecutor being assigned to the case to look into the matter, and found nothing criminal, but there was an abuse of discretion in the handling of the case. Thus, charges were filed for disorderly conduct for allegedly filing false police reports. Relatively minor, but the case itself brings so much baggage. Was this case politicized, and if so, why?
I think it was politicized, and let me just say from the beginning, I like Kim Fox. I've known her a long time. She's a good prosecutor and a good lawyer. I actually like many of the judgments that she's made. One of the things that we're not really unpacking, but I think is a real issue here, is that there was a cost associated with it, and there was a fine fee penalty incorporated into those dismissed charges. And so he lost, I believe it was $10,000 of his bond that he walked away from and left with the city as part of the negotiated plea to dismiss the charges. And so that's a real issue that has to be measured in terms of the accountability. But to Sue Ann's point, and I think she raised a wonderful one, and just in connecting the dots on whether or not prosecution actually has time for cases like this, I'm pointing out, as I was talking earlier about the bias by proxy policies, Chicago does not have a bias by proxy prosecution for police departments. And so, again, I'm raising the issue of the disparate outcomes when we're talking about a person of color, an LGBT person in Chicago, that they found a way to apply the law to him and apply prosecution to him, but have not searched as vigorously or have not searched as diligently against majority people using the police inappropriately against communities of color. And I'd like to see parity there, or at least a conversation about the two lanes of prosecution, but this one focused on Jussie Smollett instead of other crimes, other issues, other priorities for the city.
Sue Ann, will Jussie take the stand, or should he?
I think Jussie should absolutely take the stand. I think it's going to take a lot of preparation for him to be prepared for a rigorous cross into his actions. But I think he has to go up there and explain to the jury, what happened, what he did, and how he became involved in this, because the downside of the case being so high profile because of his status as an actor is that everyone thinks they already know what the evidence is. Everyone already thinks they know what he did and what happened based on what the coverage was. And what the jury is actually going to see, as we know, because we're all attorneys, is going to be limited by the judge. The jury's going to be in the bubble of evidence that's permitted by the court. So they're not going to necessarily hear or get all of the information that we may have. And so I think he should take the stand and try to explain where he was, what he did, and what his mindset was, just to fight against the court of public opinion's opinion.